Teaching is touching a brain. Learning is changing its structure. This is the basic truth that should guide every educator, every student, and every parent. For a long time, we've treated the brain like a black box. We've designed education systems, lesson plans, and teaching methods without thinking about the organ we're trying to shape. But a revolution is happening. We are living in a golden age of neuroscience, where the brain's secrets are being revealed faster than ever before. Understanding these ideas is the key to changing our classrooms. At the heart of all learning lies a microscopic dance. Our brain is made up of about 86 billion specialized cells called neurons. They have a cell body, dendrites that get signals like tree branches, and an axon that sends the signals. These connections, which number in the trillions, are called synapses. Every thought you have, every memory you make, every skill you pick up, is written in how strong and how these synaptic connections are patterned. They form complex networks, vast forests of communication that make us who we are. This amazing ability of the brain to change its own structure and how it works because of what it experiences is called neuroplasticity. It means we're never too old to learn, to change, and to grow. We often try to separate emotion from reason in our schools. This is a big mistake. We aren't just thinking machines that feel, we are feeling machines that think. Emotion doesn't get in the way of learning, it's actually the doorway to it. The parts of your brain that pay attention and remember things are linked to its emotional centers, especially a tiny almond-shaped part called the amygdala. When information has emotion, the amygdala tells the rest of the brain, pay attention, this is important, remember this. Think about the most vivid memories from your school days. You probably remember the teacher who made you laugh, the science experiment that amazed you, or the story that made you feel something. We need to create a safe and emotionally connected environment. The brain learns best when it feels secure and supported. So an educator's first job is to build an emotional connection. You can only truly learn what you love. Attention is like a spotlight for your mind. It's how your brain picks out a small piece of all the information coming at it every second. And in today's world full of digital distractions and constant notifications, getting and keeping attention is probably the biggest challenge for any teacher. There's bottom-up attention, which is an automatic reaction to something new, surprising, or dangerous around us. Then there's top-down attention, which is when you choose to focus on something specific. This kind of attention takes effort, is limited, and gets tired easily. Studies show that for most teens and adults, staying focused on one topic starts to fade after about 10 to 20 minutes. Good teaching means breaking lessons into chunks, adding variety, movement, and new things to get that focus back often. We need to make the information we share new, surprising, and important. Start a lesson with an interesting question, a shocking fact, or a great story. Connect what you're teaching to students' lives, goals, and interests. When a student sees why something matters, their brain flags it as important. Memory isn't just a simple filing cabinet in your brain where you perfectly store information. It's actually a complex rebuilding process, more like weaving a tapestry than playing back a video recording. Memory formation usually involves 3 steps: encoding, consolidation, and retrieval. Encoding is the first step, where sensory information turns into a code your brain can use and store. This is where paying attention is super important. If you're not paying attention, the information never gets properly encoded, and learning fails right at the start. The second step, consolidation, is when your brain makes this fragile memory stronger. A big part of this strengthening happens while we sleep. That's why a good night's sleep after studying isn't just nice, it's a key part of learning. The last step is retrieval. It's a common problem for students to feel like they know something but can't remember it during a test. The cool thing is that the act of trying to remember something actually makes that memory stronger. That's why testing yourself is a much better way to study than just reading your notes again. The growing interest in using neuroscience in education, sadly, has led to a bunch of popular myths, or what we call neuromyths. It's super important for teachers and students to be able to tell the difference between real neuroscience and the fake science that often pops up around it. One of the most common and stubborn brain myths is the idea of learning styles. This is the belief that people learn best when information is given to them in their favorite way. Actually, the brain is naturally good at using many senses at once. The best teaching mixes visual, sound, and movement for everyone. Another common myth is that we only use 10% of our brain. Brain scans clearly show that we use pretty much our whole brain all the time. The truth is, Getting better at thinking comes from making the connections in our fully active brain more efficient and strong through practice and hard work.
Subscribe to our channel for more new ideas in education. Hit the like button on this video and share your thoughts in the comments.
Finally, let's talk about the left brain versus right brain myth. The two halves are always talking to each other through a huge bundle of nerve fibers called the corpus callosum. Tricky tasks like being creative, solving problems, or enjoying music need both halves of the brain to work together in a smooth, organized way. Now that we've looked at the basic rules of how the brain learns and cleared up some common myths, let's move on to real, proven ways that anyone can use to learn better. The first of these powerful methods is called spaced repetition. We often think that the best way to learn something is to cram it all in at once. While cramming might help you pass a test the next day, the information is stored in a weak way and is quickly forgotten. Instead of studying a topic for 3 hours straight, you would study it for 1 hour on 3 different days. This simple change makes a huge difference in how much you remember. A related method that makes learning even better is interleaving. For example, if you're studying math, instead of doing 20 addition problems, then 20 subtraction, then 20 multiplication, you would mix them up, putting different types of problems together. Interleaving makes your brain constantly think about the problem in front of it and pick the right method from its mental toolbox. It builds flexibility and a deeper understanding of ideas. Beyond spacing and interleaving, two of the most powerful learning strategies directly target the encoding and retrieval stages of memory: active recall and elaboration. These techniques turn the student from a passive consumer of information into an active participant in building knowledge. Active recall is simply trying to remember information on purpose without looking at your notes. This is the opposite of passive review methods like rereading a chapter in a textbook. You can make your own flashcards and make sure you remember the answer before you flip the card over. The key is effort. The mental effort involved in digging up the information is what makes the memory stronger. Elaboration is about giving new information meaning by connecting it to what you already know. It's about asking why, how, and what if. When you learn a new science concept, you might ask yourself, how does this relate to what I learned last week? Can I think of a real-world example of this? These two techniques work hand in hand. For example, after learning about the principle of neuroplasticity, you could practice active recall by trying to define it in your own words. This mix of remembering and deep thinking builds memories that are not only strong, but also meaningful and flexible. It moves learning beyond just memorizing separate facts and helps you truly understand for a long time. The journey into the learning brain brings us back to where we started, the classroom. The principles of neuroscience aren't a strict recipe, but a compass guiding educators and students. Applying this knowledge means rethinking our teaching methods. It means designing lessons in shorter, attention-grabbing blocks, with chances for discussion, movement, and thinking built in. It means creating a classroom where kids feel safe and curious, where they feel able to try new things and learn from their mistakes. It means shifting from just taking in information to actively solving problems, practicing what they've learned, and working on projects together. For teachers, this knowledge is powerful. It changes the teacher's role from being the only expert to being a guide, helping students discover and build their own understanding. It's a call to become a student of the brain, to stay curious, and to keep making your teaching better based on the ever-changing science of learning. In the end, the message of neuroeducation is very hopeful. It tells us that every student has a brain capable of amazing growth and learning. By using these ideas, we can create classrooms that are not just better, but also more fun, more memorable, and more inspiring. We can help students not just learn facts and numbers, but also grow a deep love for learning that will last their whole lives. Because in the end, the goal of education isn't just to give out knowledge, but to light a fire in the mind, a fire that can only be lit when we finally understand the beautiful, complex, and amazing learning machine that lives inside each of us.
Subscribe to our channel for more new ideas in education. Hit the like button on this video and share your thoughts in the comments. Which skill connects most with your teaching? Which one seems hardest to develop? Your ideas and questions help build our learning community and inspire what we'll cover next. Together, we can change education, one teacher, one classroom, one student at a time. The future of learning is in our hands.